Hi, world language teachers. Today, I'd like to share a tip about keeping kids and therefore class a little bit more organized. So, where does this come from? This idea that I had years ago to create a binder system came from constantly hearing from all of my students, do we have to keep this? Do we have to keep this? Hey, madame, this sheet, do we have to keep this? And finally, I thought, you know what? I don't know that students have the ability to necessarily determine should they keep it. They're just not there yet, nor did they have to be. So I realized this is on me. This is on me to help them learn some organization, to help them learn what things are important, what we want to keep, and why. So I developed a binder system. Students needed to have two things. First of all, they need to have a 3-ring binder and then 5 tab dividers to go with it. And those dividers can look any way they want them to look. For me, in my classes, my tabs, I have grammar, verbs, tenses, vocabulary, and culture. Now, I don't think it necessarily matters how you teach, if you adhere to a certain style or not. So much of what we give students and what we have as resources can somehow fit into one of those categories. It might be super explicit and really broken down, or it might be not broken down yet. It might be things that, for example, a reading passage that is all in the past tense, but students don't know quite yet that it's in the past tense. You haven't broken it down, but you're working with it. So I don't think it matters how you teach. There are things that can go in each of those categories. And I also think this system is really great because for me, as a French teacher, I keep the same students for out their time in the language. And when they have these binders, when they start them in level 1, they carry through to level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. The same binder stays with them the whole way. And throughout the years, they can refer back. So, for example, if we're doing something in level 3 and I say, hey, remember that unit in level 1 and we talked about this particular set of vocab words, that should be in your binder. Now, one thing that I do is I like to provide the binders and the tab dividers for my students. So it's an equity piece for me, and I've found it easy to do. So what I do is I ask on online groups or online apps like on Nextdoor or online groups like regional Buy Nothing groups, or I throw out an email to the whole staff saying, hey, anybody got binders lying around? And usually in any district that I've been in, buildings are overflowing with binders. So I always take them and source them and tuck them away. And then in the beginning of French 1, I bring them out and I say, hey, for class, you need a 3-ring binder and 5 tab dividers, and I have some here. So if you'd like to use what I have, great. You don't have to go shopping for school supplies. But if you want a certain brand or certain colors, or it has to match something you already have, that's fine too. You can buy your own. So Nextdoor, Buy Nothing, and staff emails, I found great ways of getting both the binders and the dividers. Then what I do is for every single unit, I make a unit packet. So I do that by first gathering up 99.9% of all the handouts that I have for that unit, and I put them together in one packet. And then every single page that I think, okay, this is a handout that I think that has important stuff on it, and I think next year, they'll probably want to refer back to this handout. It has some good things on it, good information. I put a star at the bottom of the page by the page number. I always try to make sure that the pages that I star are odd numbered pages in the packet. That just makes it easier when they deconstruct the packet later and save pages to put in their binder. Then next to the star, I write the section of the binder that it needs to go in. So basically, if a page is starred, that means yes, you keep it. If a page is not starred, that means that at the end of the unit, that page can be safely recycled. And I also tell students, you know what, just because I don't think you're necessarily going to need this particular sheet later, if you like it and if it helps you remember concepts or vocabulary, feel free to keep a non-starred page. That's okay. So then what happens is when students say, do we have to keep this? My response is, does it have a star? Because if it has a star, they know that they keep it. So once I start this system in level 1, it really only takes about 1 unit before students quit asking the question and they check each other. Like if someone says, hey, do we have to keep this? Another kid will be like, it doesn't have a star, or yes, it has a star. And so I think that's really beneficial for many ways. First of all, it saves on paper. Instead of having one-sided handouts, every single handout I have is double-sided because I put it all together in a packet. So again, 99% of the handouts for the unit come right in that packet right away in the beginning. And that also helps kids who might be a little organizationally challenged and would lose individual sheets. They have them all together. So it saves on paper and it empowers students to answer their own question and to solve their own problem. If a student is thinking, wow, do I have to keep this? They can look, does it have a star? Yes, I got to keep it. And they can take me out of the equation and do some work on their own, solving their own questions. And then I love that students always have what they need to refer back on. I can't tell you how often in the upper levels, my students would refer back to handouts that they received in level 1 or level 2 and use some of those same handouts. Now, by that same token, sometimes in the upper levels, a few of the handouts become really, really simple. And they'll say, Madame, can we get rid of this? Yeah, for sure. There are some things that are just so rote and so ingrained by the upper levels, no need to keep the handout. Then, after the unit test, students always know exactly what to do. As soon as they finish their test for the unit, the next step is to take out their packet, deconstruct it, and then go through page by page. If it doesn't have a star, it gets recycled. If it has a star, it goes into the correct section of their binder. So this is the binder system. This is something that I have implemented for years now, and I think it helps keep students organized, helps to teach them, hey, here is one method to organize that maybe you can use if you choose to go on to college. And it helps really cut back on the same question being asked all the time. So I hope you like it. Give it a try. Let me know in the comments if it works for you.